Hello, MA final year students. I'm back again. Lovely, lovely, lovely poem. A light exists in spring. I guess this is, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me. I've made a note of it. I think on the 26th, I felt a funeral in my brain. Then I went on to do, I heard a fly buzz when I died. And then I think I did, a bird came down the walk. Then I did tell all the truth and a thought went up my mind. And today I'm going to do a light exists in spring. Children, I have not been able to upload these videos for some reason because I have very slow network at the moment. But do Deepika or Astha, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think I have to do the last poem with you. A light exists in spring. Interesting, very very interesting, beta. You've been doing now. We've been doing Emily Dickinson for a while now, and it is very interesting to actually talk about something which is again abstract, again mysterious, again something which makes you think as to why would somebody, when you read about her on the net, you'll be surprised. Her mother went into depression. Then she had written a letter to somebody saying that she was feeling feelings that she cannot share with somebody. She says she had ventured out of her father's house only 3 times in the entire life of 55 years. She wore white all her life after her father's death. Very, very typical, lives, children. Amazing lives, amazing people, and amazing poetry and amazing literature they left behind. She says a light exists in spring, not present on the year at any other period. And one more thing. She says March is a God-sent month. She was born in March and I was born in March. Okay? So she says a light exists in spring, not present on the year at any other period. पूरे साल में जो लाइट आपको देखने को मिलती है स्प्रिंग में, वो कहीं और कभी और देखने को नहीं मिलती. जैसी मार्च में लाइट होती है स्प्रिंग की, वो सनलाइट, दैट ब्यूटी ऑफ दैट सनलाइट, व्हेन द terrible torrid winter is actually giving you that relaxation, when it is sun which is actually maturing, getting maturer by the day, it starts maturing by the day. At any other period, she says, you will never see the kind of sunlight that you see in March, when March is scarcely here. Here, what she means to say is that after February's cold, jittery winters, when it is time for March has hardly started, that you start feeling that warmth of the sun, the beautiful light of the sun. Children, अभी आपने इतना गर्म जून देखा है कोटा में, राजस्थान में, और आप ही लोग जानते हैं कि लास्ट 1 week हैज़ बीन such a pleasure for all of us. You have to be in America and in Britain. आप वाकई देखेंगे वहाँ पर रह के कि फरवरी के एंड तक तो आपको you start yearning, madly wanting the sun to come out with all its force because it is so cold over there. So she says, that is, see, there are two things that is related. I remember beautiful lines of T.S. Eliot in Wasteland when he says April is the cruelest month. Why would somebody say April is, somebody coming from the cold countries can say April सबसे cruel month होता है. अब आप ही बताइए कि चार इतनी ज़बरदस्त ठंड से जो चीज़ आपको राहत दिला रही है, something that is giving you respite after that terrible bitter cold, why would somebody like T.S. Eliot call it a cruel month? You should get your literary horns and antennas up when you come for my class. Yes, there is a reason. Why would he say that? He would say that only because that is not reality. April is cheating because one knows that April will soon pass. May, June will soon pass, or May, June again has a lot of rain in England and in the Americas also sometimes. So it is like, oh my God, anything that is beautiful, anything that is attractive, is cruel, because it is there for fooling you for a little while, and then again those dreary winters will come. So again she says, but here she says something opposite. She says March has hardly started, and the light of the spring is so beautiful, it is not seen any other part of the year. A color stands abroad on solitary fields, a beautiful golden hue of the blue skies, not the cloudy, grey, dark, dismal skies. No, 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 no. The blue, bright, azure, spring skies, उनका कलर पूरी अकेली fields के ऊपर फैला हुआ है, that science cannot overtake, but human nature feels. See, however much, we are talking about her life and death, which is 1850s and stuff like that. There wasn't much electricity, and there wasn't all that at the time. She says, and at that time the poet can say that science cannot overtake but human nature feel. Science can never ever think of overtaking. Means beta, defeating. Science can never think of defeating or actually comparing, or at least coming, all said and done. Science cannot defeat nature. It cannot compete with nature. In fact, it stands no comparison with nature. So she says science can never overtake, not even think of defeating. But human nature feels. But you have to understand that the human nature, you, me, मैंने आपको जैसे भी एग्जाम्पल दिया, हमने जून की जुलाई की तपन देखी है, तो हम ही जान सकते हैं कि हमारे लिए मानसून क्या चीज़ है. सो द ह्यूमन नेचर कैन फील व्हाट साइंस. सी चिल्ड्रन, I don't want to get in. अगर तुम मेरी virtual class, had you not been in a virtual class, had you been in a real class, in a traditional pedagogical class, I would have discussed, I would have taken you, given you many examples. But yeah, I'll give you a very simple example. See, in the time of Keats was like, William Blake, no, we don't want science, we don't want industrialization, it will spoil everything. And see what has happened? It has in fact spoiled everything for us. Where has science taken us today? What answers has science given? If you think that, flying in the air and, defeating diseases, or maybe just sitting in an AC is what science has given you, then I agree. Nobody will disagree. But at the same time, it has made our lives very difficult also. Believe you me, I want internet to have virus. I am sick and tired of being intruded upon my personal life and my personal space at any time by anybody. You understand what I mean. So basically, beta, the bargain has been very lopsided. ऐसा नहीं है कि we have always only gained from science. No. We have lost also a lot on science, and that is exactly what she's saying. That what human nature can feel, science cannot tell. It waits upon the lawn, it shows the farthest tree, and this beautiful light, धीरे धीरे वो आके उनके लॉन पे आती है, फिर जो बिल्कुल पहाड़ी पे दूर पेड़ है वहाँ पर चली जाती है. Upon the furthest slope, it almost speaks to you. How beautiful. You have to be very, very literary to understand. And Emily Dickinson, she's not an easy poet. She says, वो लाइट धीरे धीरे आपसे दूर जाती है. Upon the furthest slope, and then it goes to the slope or to the hill, which is very far away. It almost speaks to you, and you feel that now the light is speaking to you. You know why, beta? Because in the cold countries, when it gets dark, it becomes very, very depressing. So when the light is going away, it starts talking. I mean, the poet is talking to her. The poet wants to talk to her and say, cajole her into being there, say, please wait, don't go away. Something like that. She wants to speak to Mother Nature, she wants to speak to the sun, wants to speak to the light or the sunlight. Then as horizons step or noons report away, without the formula of sound, it passes and we stay. देखिए बेटा, हर दिन चला जाता है, सिर्फ हम रह जाते हैं. हर एक दिन हमारे साथ ख़त्म होता जाता है, लेकिन रह कौन जाता है बेटा? आप और हम. Lovely. She says, then as the horizon step, as the light passes from one horizon to the other, जैसे अभी आपका garden, maybe आपका garden is meeting the sky, and then she sees कि थोड़ा दूर जाके the hill is meeting the sky. So there are many horizons which the light is passing. Noons report away, and many noons turn into afternoons, afternoons turns into evening, evenings turn into night, and the night turns into another day. So every day, when you want to enjoy that spring, every day you see that the light is gone away, the day has gone away, it has passed away, and what remains of us is we stay. Okay, so it passes and we stay. A quality of loss affecting our content as trade had suddenly encroached upon a sacrament. Now, this is very, very beautiful. A quality of loss. Every day is passing from your life. Every day you are losing one day of your beautiful, precious life on this earth. From the day you are born, children, to the day to every day that passes, you are stepping nearer to death. All of us. All of us. You never know which is the last day of our life. None of us know. Okay? So she says, the light goes away and it leaves behind a quality of loss. What is a quality of loss, beta? It leaves behind something like, the sensation of having lost something, having sort of, been getting away from something being snatched from you, something being taken away from you, affecting our content. And you know what is content, beta? Peace, inner peace, spirituality. It affects, somewhere you find that there is an effect on our satisfaction, on our sense of content, on our sense of spirituality, on our sense of belongingness, on our sense of completion, on our sense of being, on our sense of living. All these things get affected by that sense of loss as trade had suddenly encroached upon a sacrament. This is so beautiful. You know what happens, beta? If you're doing something very religious, if you're getting into something very religious, maybe आप और हमारे बीच में एक religious, nature और हमारे बीच में एक religious bond है, एक spiritual bond है. But when we find that nature is trying to snatch away something from us, that as trade had suddenly encroached upon a sacrament, तो ऐसा लगता है ट्रेड क्या होता है बेटा? आपसी लेन देन, शिकायतें, बहस, इतना का दे दो उतने का मत लो, इसमें इतना प्रॉफिट है, इसमें इतना लॉस है. तो जब ये सेंस ऑफ लॉस हमारे और मदर नेचर के रिलेशनशिप के बीच में हमारे अंदर आता है, तो हमें ऐसा लगता है कि किसी प्योर चीज़ के अंदर बिजनेस आ गई है. हाउ स्वीट, हाउ ब्यूटिफुल इज दैट. एज ट्रेड हैड सडनली एनक्रोच्ड, जैसे कि ट्रेड मीन्स बेटा बिजनेस, लेन देन, गिव एंड टेक, कैलकुलेशंस, हिसाब, account has suddenly encroached is a lovely word. See, encroach means to come by force. It has absolutely come by force, to sort of tell us that this is nothing religious or spiritual between you and nature. ये connection आप लोगों का बहुत spiritual या बहुत natural नहीं है. There is a sense of loss, sense of give and take, sense of accountancy, sense of sort of making a calculation. So this is something sad. देखिए आपके और हमारे रिलेशनशिप कैसे होते हैं बेटा? आपके और नेचर का रिलेशनशिप कैसा होता है? आप और हमारा भी होता है, क्योंकि यू आर ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ नेचर, आई एम ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ नेचर. तो आप और हमारा हो या आपका और सीधे नेचर का हो, वो रिलेशनशिप हम चाहते हैं कि बिल्कुल प्योर, बिल्कुल सेरीन, बिल्कुल क्रिस्टल क्लियर, बिल्कुल प्योर हार्टेड, बिल्कुल स्पिरिचुअल, बिल्कुल ट्रांसेंडेंटल हो. बट जब आपको एक एक दिन जाता है ना आपकी ज़िंदगी से, एंड देन यू स्टार्ट कैलकुलेटिंग द लॉस दैट यू आर इनकरिंग एवरी डे बिकॉज ऑफ नेचर, then what happens? That beautiful holy sacrament, that holy spirituality, that holy relationship again gets entangled into the business of calculation, of loss and profit. You would never like this to happen with mother nature. What we would like to happen with mother nature is, अच्छा इसकी एक और take है बेटा. It doesn't end over here. What she means to say is that if you are intelligent enough, you will stop calculating and counting, and you will re-establish a very beautiful relationship with nature where there are no calculations. Don't feel the sense of loss. Mother Nature doesn't want you to get any loss. Mother Nature never wants you to be in any loss. She wants you to be happy. She wants to be contented. She wants you to be so spiritually connected to her. So just don't try to get into that. Don't try to count. Don't try to see whether this is a business of profit or loss. Just try to see that it's pure business. It's lovely and it is enduring and it is going to be forever. I This is, I guess, the last poem of Emily Dickinson. I was telling you, we have done almost all of them. I will start with Robert Frost, which is I think Robert Frost is going to be your unit 5. I've done unit 4 Emily Dickinson with you. Unit 5 I'll do I'll start with Robert Frost, and then we'll go to the third and the second and the first. We'll go to the first last because it's very, very spiritual. It's very highly transcendental. It's very highly philosophical. So I wanted to do they're not easy, but I wanted to do them first so that you get a hang of what American literature is all about, how beautiful it is. I am so sorry that I have not introduced American literature to you, or maybe I have. I just forget. I just started with Emily Dickinson because I just so get carried away by her poems. But I'll definitely introduce you to the beauty of American literature and what it owes and how it owes to the British literature, to the English literature of Britain, of the Britishers. We'll continue with this. Thank you.